Guys, thank you so much for joining me in another video. So recently I did a video talking about Kendall Jenner's model off-duty style, or rather very on-duty style. You can tell her style, it's very much influenced by this 90s era model off-duty style. And with that video, the idea of personal style really came up, how these models dress on their own time, their personal style. And I got this idea from Layla Sophia, so I will link her channel in the description box below. But the discussion around how different models approach off-duty style is very different. As I mentioned in the video, when we look at Bella Hadid, even just like historical figures, Princess Diana, they're off-duty when they're not in their sort of more professional roles, how they choose to dress. It's always been interesting to look at, to see how these very high-profile fashion figures that have access to pretty much all the fashion in the world, what is it that they actually choose to wear? And I thought today we would take a look at Emily Ratajkowski. What does she wear on the regular? She's somebody that is heavily photographed, is heavily documented what she wears. I think it's very interesting to look at her evolution, pre-pandemic style, even her style, the 2010s versus the pandemic versus now, how it's kind of evolved and changed. In the 2010s, when we look at her style, it was core millennial clothes that you could potentially wear to Coachella, very LA girl, Levi wedgie jeans, crop tops, mom jeans, with the oversized blazer, the ripped jeans, the Ray-Bans. When we think about brands like Chloe, Stuart Weitzman, she very much nailed that millennial era style. While it wasn't that long ago, we see how much style has evolved, and seeing her transformation since the pandemic and the shift from that very clearly millennial style to, I think, almost what like TikTok and Gen Z have brought to fashion. And it's very clear that this is influencing how she dresses, but a lot of her core key design principles are still the same. I also think there are lifestyle changes from being a young woman in her 20s to being a new mom in her 30s. Just looking into Emily Ratajkowski, just as a person, yes, she's definitely a fashion girl. Just going down this rabbit hole, I've actually listened to her podcast and she has very strong opinions. She likes to voice out her opinions. I was listening to an episode where she was talking to media journalist Taylor Lorenz, and I thought it was kind of interesting where they were talking about sort of their experiences as women in media. Just interesting how she'll talk to different figures in these sort of like fashion spaces. So this podcast, it wasn't a podcast I would typically hear in these fashion spaces, but a lot of the content was very related to like media and like the portrayal of women and Emily Ratajkowski's experience as a woman in media. But in today's video, I thought we'd delve into her key style preferences with her off-duty style, and we'll also finish off with some defining handbags in her collection. And what I really appreciate about her style is while she often will wear bags that are, I don't know, I'm gonna assume gifted to her, bags from brands that she's worked with. There's actually a few bags that she's worn for years, 4, 5, 6, 7 years, that she continues to wear, so I thought we would talk about that as well. So in terms of her style, she does maintain a lot of those key model off-duty, as I mentioned in my video with Kendall Jenner, a lot of the model off-duty aspects that we see. We also see in Emily Ratajkowski style, for instance, the mixing of high and low. Emily Ratajkowski is known for combining very high-end designer items with more affordable and accessible fashion items. There is this mixture of luxury and everyday that gives her style this more attainable quality. Another side of that, there's also this casual chic fusion. There's this sort of blending of casual and chic elements that look both comfortable and stylish. She'll wear something casual like jeans or sneakers with a more polished piece. And even her everyday street style looks, there's kind of this effortless coolness about her. This might be like oversized jackets, you know, just this casual attitude that is often expressed with her style. So we kind of talked about those sort of key aspects of model off-duty style that I think we've seen since the 90s. But I wanted to talk specifically about her, I would say, more key signature elements that we kind of associate with her style. So what I think is very interesting is she is very body conscious, and this is very much expressed in her political opinions, her opinions on, she talks about her podcast. Her fashion choices often showcase her confidence as well as her comfort with her own body in often very bold and daring ways. She'll often wear very form-fitting, body-hugging silhouettes that really highlight her figure. She's known for wearing dresses, skirts, tops that accentuate her curves, whether it be through like a plunging neckline or very off-the-shoulder looks, very waist-defining looks. There is this touch of sensuality to her overall aesthetic. Another very signature part of her style that I've noticed quite heavily is her color palette. She often opts for very like earthy, neutral color palettes, typically on the warmer side. We'll see blacks, white, beiges, camels, browns, but also warmer neutrals. We'll see her wear greens, olives, coppers, khakis, typically neutrals on like more of the warmer end. And I think they really complement and highlight her features. She definitely has a warmer skin tone, her very chestnut brown hair. These colors definitely really complement her features. Another key aspect about her style is Emily Ratajkowski often incorporates very retro, vintage items into her look. Could be like vintage glasses or the types of pants she's wearing, or maybe the tailoring. I think this is something we see very different with this new wave of Gen Z and like TikTok approaches to styling, or rather the vintage and retro pieces are from the 2000s. And it makes sense when we think about like the fashion trend cycle where we're at right now. With a lot of the model off-duty looks, we see this trend with other models like a Bella Hadid. And I think what's very interesting is with the rise of like these Nepo baby models, right? The borrowing of the bags and the clothes of their famous mothers. But with Emily Ratajkowski, she's not a Nepo baby. Both of her parents were school teachers, and she started as a catalog model for Kohl's and Nordstrom at 14. So that was her into the industry. But you can tell she loves her Y2K style, like shoulder bags and the lower waistline. I think she's definitely embracing this style. Another thing about her is that she is someone that doesn't shy away from bold prints and patterns. While she will wear her earthy neutrals, she'll also incorporate very bold prints and patterns just to add a bit of interest to an outfit. Even when she does a monochromatic look, she'll often have a pop of something just to spice things up. And what I really like about her is that she's someone that really evolves with fashion, yet she keeps these core stylistic principles. Even as like a new mom, she's still been able to maintain a lot of these core style principles. Now, when it comes to the handbag portion, I really wanted to focus on the handbags that she's worn for years. There have been so many handbags that she's honestly worn this past year. It's becoming very difficult to discern with the pace of handbags that are being released, that are gifted, that are sponsorships, to determine is this something that she authentically loves. At the end of the day, she is a model. She does get paid to wear these items, right? But at the same time, there have been 3 main bags that I've seen her wear for at least 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years, some of these. So I want to talk about those 3 key bags. While we'll see her walk the runway for Versace, Prada, I've seen her wear Tory Burch and she looks really great. She's recently been seen wearing the squeeze bag, the Row Half Moon bag. She's been wearing the Row for years as well. And I did notice that when she had her son, she was wearing the Prada nylon baby bag quite heavily. But I wanted to talk about these specific bags because I think in different ways they actually align with her style. So the first bag I want to talk about is the Hermes Constance, and it looks like it's the 18 size, and she'll typically crossbody it. She'll wear it sometimes open, definitely easier to get in and out of. This is a bag that we've seen her wear year after year. She'll wear it to events, to very casual occasions, to walks with her son. The Hermes Constance is obviously such an iconic bag. For Hermes, it's one of their most coveted bags after the Birkin and Kelly. And I think she wears it really well. It's a very classic bag, but it's also very casual at the same time. It's kind of the best of both worlds. She has this really cool street style flair when she goes out. I love how she personally wears this bag. The next bag that I want to talk about is the Paco Rabanne, or they actually changed their name to Rabanne. This is the Rabanne chain mail bag. What I always thought was very interesting about this bag is this is a bag that I think we would typically view as maybe more of a party, an evening sort of style bag. But I've also seen her wear this bag out when it looks like she's taking her baby at the time for like a stroll. While it may seem very out of place, it's actually very realistic for her. Perhaps maybe the night before she was out. Sometimes with babies, to like calm them down, you just need to go for a walk with them and you're not gonna have time to change your outfit. But this is why I think it looks so good, because it feels so spontaneous and authentic at the same time. It doesn't feel too overly styled, too overly coordinated. There's this unexpectedness with a lot of her looks. And another bag that I've seen her wear quite heavily, and it's not a bag I see very often talked about on YouTube or in social media in general, and I'm talking about the Margiela, the mini 5AC bag. I love it in this red color, and it's one that she's been wearing for years, back like 6-7 years at this point. And I think it's like really cute, it's really timeless, and it's one of these bags, while while it looks like an Alma, when you open it, the inside actually like comes out. It's very deconstructed, very Margiela. I actually have this bag in a large size, but it's really heavy, so I don't wear it that much. But I actually really like how she wears the small size. It's more of a realistic bag. It's got that versatility, the top handle, the crossbody aspect. Here she is protesting with this bag. In conclusion, while the trends in fashion from millennial skinny jeans to a lot of these Coachella-esque looks from the 2010s have almost in a way evolved into something very TikTok, very Gen Z. Still, a lot of the core themes we see her bring from the 2010s to the 2020s, even with a whole lifestyle change here. She totally embraces her sensuality, her body confidence. She is so revealing in her clothing, but at the same time, she's also a prominent feminist, and she's often misunderstood. I think there are just different generational views ultimately when it comes to feminism. I think with different generations, they're sort of tackling different issues when we think about the different waves. But I think these political opinions actually inform how she dresses, how she wants to express herself. When we look at her public statements, they often align with a focus on women's autonomy, agency, and challenging societal expectations. Just because you're a woman, you shouldn't have to experience sexual harassment. Things like that, things that should be very basic, but it's like for so long society was like, well, if you dress that way, you're asking for it, and it's sort of about flipping that narrative. Women shouldn't feel shamed for their body, and I think we can definitely open up this discussion even further.
And one other point I just want to state here, while I do appreciate Emily Ratajkowski's defense of other women wanting to express their sexuality, for instance, Emily Ratajkowski defended Kim Kardashian when she received backlash for a nude selfie, saying that women have the right to express their sexuality and share their bodies however they choose. She's been against body shaming, and this has been something she has experienced heavily in Hollywood, and she's been commended for expressing her experiences. It was very strange and frankly problematic when she was modeling and posing in a pair of these plus-size jeans as someone that is the typical generic model jean size. She received a lot of criticism for this because it was very insensitive, it did not feel inclusive, and it just didn't make sense as someone whose brand has been about not shaming women for their bodies.
She knows the kind of color palette she likes, but then she'll also inject very bold and bright patterns. We'll also see her mix very high and low together at the same time. I also think it's a nice reminder that you can evolve your style while still maintaining your core key style principles, what you feel most confident in, and also allowing yourself to enjoy those more spontaneous moments of dressing. That is my video. Thank you so much for joining me in another one, and I hope to see you in the next one.